Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. Race number 5 at Oaklawn Park on Arkansas Derby Saturday is the Grade 3 Oaklawn Mile. $400,000 is the purse with the short stretch of the mile run at Oaklawn Park in play. Before we take a look at the entry card, remember last week for Timeform USPPs to be free. They're now in DRFPPs. Go to DRF.com, access your past performances, and there'll be the Timeform US tab. Click on it and check out all of the cool Timeform US features. Here's the field for the Grade 3 Oaklawn Mile. $400,000 again is the purse. Smile Happy did some very good things as a 2-year-old Mike, a graded stakes winner. He did some good things at 3, Grade 1 placed, and off the layoff last time out. I don't think Kenny McPeak could have asked for anything more.
Yeah, probably everything they wanted to see last time, Dan. Off of a really long layoff, in fact, over 300 days, sloppy track, 9 furlongs. Didn't really matter. He looked really good, earning a triple-digit buyer.
He's facing a pretty tough customer with speed from the outside. And we throw up the Timeform US pace projector. The number 7, Hopper, is trained by Bob Baffert. He won the Grade 3 Affirmed in 2022 while on the lead, and he finished 4th while prompting the pace in the big cap last time out, a big cap that had a fast pace up front.
Yeah, he actually ran pretty well in the big cap last time. It felt like a pretty tall order for him stepping into that race going a mile and a quarter, Dan, but he ran pretty well.
After finishing second behind Zandon in the Bluegrass last year, Smile Happy ran 8th in the Kentucky Derby. You had to look at it turning into the stretch and just flattened out a little bit. I like that McPeak gave him plenty of time after that race. I think he has the potential to be a good 4-year-old, and he always traveled like a winner in this race. A second-level allowance off the long layoff on a sloppy track, and this was a pretty good field. He stayed out in the clear, and he swept by everybody. He won easy.
Yeah, he takes over here in the stretch. I mean, he's not going to, run away from these horses in the late stages, but he's clear to the wire, Dan. There's nobody else making any kind of run from off the pace. The horses that he's overtaking now were 1-2 throughout the running. He's the only horse who made up ground in here. He's clear under the wire. It came back a fast race. He had all the potential in the world as a younger horse. I mean, there's just really nothing to knock about that performance.
Third start of the form cycle for the number 2, Necker Island, who's always been a solid performer, a 7-time winner, graded stakes placed. He's been good sprinting. He's been good going long. I wonder where he fits as it pertains to this caliber of horse at this point of his career. However, he didn't do much in the Grade 3 Essex last time out. That race only 2 weeks ago. He got into a little bit of traffic, but I wish he ran better.
Yeah, he didn't run well in that race. That was a good field, but he still didn't run that well, Dan. And it was one of those races, too, where they had sort of concentrated on sprinting with him for about the past year or so. They finally gave him a shot to stretch back out last time, and he didn't really do anything.
Hero Status, the number 3, has some early speed. He was a winner 2 starts back at Santa Anita in a second-level allowance, going a mile and a 16th, and maybe it was a bit of too much too soon. Most recently in the Razorback, he caught a very strong field. Last Samurai is in career form. West Will Power came back to win the New Orleans Classic at the Fairgrounds last week with a 109 buyer speed figure. This guy is still lightly raced. He's got some upside.
Yeah, those things are all true, Dan. He does switch to Diodoro for this also, so I feel like that's probably something that you just want to at least keep in mind, especially over this track. On the other hand, it had to be kind of disappointing for his connections in the Razorback last time. I realized it was a tough spot for him, but they were giving him a shot there against some better horses while he was in what seemed like really good form, and it kind of felt like he was no match for those horses off of what I thought was a pretty good trip.
The number 4, Silver Prospector, a bit of an underrated veteran. He's earned $1 million in his career. He was a graded stakes winner at 2. He was a graded stakes winner at 3. He was a graded stakes winner last year at 5. He ran in the Essex 2 weeks ago. He saved ground. He was kind of in just a little bit tight on the backstretch, but things opened up for him, and he only finished in a one-paced manner. He does seem to like this mile distance, and he likes Oaklawn Park.
Yeah, all those things are true, Dan. I don't mind him cutting back slightly for this race. He's one of those horses, too. He's very tactical, so you can sort of give him any kind of a trip in a race, and if it works out for him, he'll run. So I'd have no problem with this horse in this kind of a field. Maybe that Essex was just a little bit too tough for him last time. He certainly looked good winning 2 back over a wet track.
Perhaps the 5, Caddo River, can provide a little bit of a pace. And if there's one thing we know about Caddo River, like Silver Prospector, he really likes the home cooking at Oaklawn Park. He won the Smarty Jones as a 3-year-old. 4 of his 6 lifetime wins have come at Oaklawn, including this score over a sloppy track in a pretty solid high-level allowance last month. We see Caddo River. He was battling out on the lead. He made a little bit of a move from stalking range to get to the front. He's game to hold off a horse that would come back to win an allowance race with a 99 buyer.
Yeah, he's going to hold on here at the end. He's clear all through the stretch, not finishing that strongly, but he is going to hold on. I think you're right that the slightly shorter distance of this race probably helps this horse. I guess the real question is, Dan, how good is he really? I mean, he never really panned out. I think that this is a horse who had a lot of potential early on. I personally don't think he ever really delivered on it. And while his form is okay recently, it's mostly when they keep him in those, sort of allowance optional claiming races. They're going to step him back up here.
Mr. Lucas finds an ambitious placing for the number 6, Atoka. We haven't seen this horse in about 9 months. He was not in the best form before he went on the break, sort of stuck in a 3rd level allowance. He did place at a big price in the ACAC going sprint to route back in 2021, and is another horse that might show a little bit of speed.
Should show a little bit of speed here. He's going to stretch out off of a pretty long layoff and not a very easy spot either, Dan. Obviously, he's got a lot to prove in a race like this one. I remember actually being really interested in this horse at this meet last year when Lucas finally started sprinting him again. I don't know if I want to stick with him as they stretch him out now off the layoff.
Hopper did win the Affirmed as a 3-year-old for Bob Baffert, for Sean McCarthy when he was deputizing for Baffert, and then off of the long layoff, he gave a good effort in the Grade 2 San Pasquale, considering the layoff. He was on the pace. It wasn't exactly a vicious pace, but he was up on it and was contested, and he finished an okay second. Last time out, they tried to stretch him out even longer, which I'm not sure is really his game, a mile and a quarter, but he was up close again. The pace was a lot faster, and he was still in the thick of things till about the 8th pole. The question is, can he get the lead? Because right now it looks like he is a need the lead type, and there are some other speeds to his inside.
Yeah, there's a couple of other horses with speed to his inside. We'll see how it all plays out. Then this horse is going from the outside. I guess maybe I should just give him a little bit more credit that I'm going to wind up giving him for his most recent start, because he did run pretty well in there. I know he was off the layoff too back in the San Pasquale. I hated that race. I don't like anything about that race. He ran fine in there, but I think those last 2 running lines just mean he takes money in this race. And if he's a short price, I'd just rather try to beat him.
Baffert Barn, of course, historically has great numbers at Oaklawn Park, and they do very well when they tinker with equipment changes, and the blinkers are coming off this time for the number 7, Hopper. We take a look at our top picks in here. Mike is going with Smile Happy, and Smile Happy again still has a lot of upside. He looked very good last time out. What about him at a mile? Do you think that's a little bit sharp for him, or do you think there's going to be some pace? He's in very good form, and he might just be the best horse anyway.
Yeah, I don't mind them cutting back to the mile here. I guess it's a little odd. I thought it was a little strange that they came back over 9 furlongs, Dan, off the long layoff, but it didn't really matter. But I'm not opposed to this horse going a little bit shorter. There's still plenty of time for him, and he's not a slow horse early anyway. So if this pace doesn't develop in front of him, it's not like he's going to be a million lengths out of it. I just think he's really good. And if he runs anywhere near as well as he ran last time, he's going to be really, really tough in here.
He's very dangerous in here. I think that Hopper's speed plays very well, despite him cutting all the way back from 1.25 miles. I expect John Velazquez to put the pedal to the metal, leaving the gate, and we'll finally find out how good Hopper is. Maybe a mile is what he's been waiting for. 1473 for Mike, 7143 for me. It's the Grade 3 Oaklawn Mile on Arkansas Derby Saturday. Best of luck.